Welcome to my attempt to solve the PHP Practice Difficult quiz. I've got it loaded right here, as you can see. So I need to copy it into a file into my htdocs directory, but first I need to make sure my Apache web server is running. So I'll start that up. Now I go over to my IntelliJ IDEA project in the right directory, and I create a new file, PHP diff.php. And then I need to copy this content into the file, save it, and then let's see if it's being served up. Localhost /ICS 215 fall14 /php diff.php. Good. It's being served. So now what do I need to do? I need to create a form to record someone's estimated time. So PHP form example. So we create an HTML form, and I'll put it right here. Let me expand this so you can see what's going on. So I have a form. Line this all up. And the form has an action, and that's the name of the PHP file that we want to call. So it would be the name of the file, which in this case is, from the server point of view, that. So paste that in, and we're doing a post method. We want the name, type name, but we don't want the email. We want the estimate, and let's make it a number. So let's reload this, and okay, we've got our form, so I say Sue and 12 minutes. Submit. Well, seemed to do something, but let's add a little bit of so I just have a little explanation sentence there. And see, when I hit refresh, it's now going to post the data again, but then it reloads the same page. So it did a post. So now let's go and see how we handle the post. Looks like we can do an echo post. Get versus post. We're going to use a post because we supply the data hidden. Here's their example. And we could use this. Instead of typing the full path, we can actually have the PHP return the path. It knows what page it's running on, so let's have PHP do the work for us. So this is PHP script. We're echoing the HTML special chars, escapes the characters. We look at the global variable server, it's an array. And then we get the PHP self, which is the name of the PHP script that's being run. So let's change that. So now let's go back. And if I hit this, just hit return, it'll do a GET request. Now let's inspect the element. You see the form, and they filled in, because we know the file is php diff.php, and we know where we're getting it served from, the PHP printed out the name of the file. And because we do the HTML special characters, that helps us avoid cross-scripting or injection attacks. So now here's some code to actually handle or get the data, so let's happily appropriate that. But we need to put it in a PHP block. So let's paste that. So what are we doing? We get the name. No, we don't need all those, right? So we create a variable to hold the name, hold the estimate. We don't need those because our form doesn't have those. And the name of the form is estimate. So the name here is the same name here, same name here. So now let's echo name append is append estimate and semicolon. So now let's go back and see, oh, and this test input function trims the data, so it takes off the white space on both ends, gets rid of any slashes in there, and also encodes any special characters. So we can say, we do the get request, we don't supply, the post variable is not set, so name is empty string and estimate is empty string. We supply a name, Sue and 12. See that the post variable has been initialized, so we have a name and we have an estimate, 12. So now, we're done with getting the data. We can now successfully get the data. So now we need to make the estimates persistent. So let's go and say, back to Google, PHP file creation. Opens a file. No, let's file create text. There we go. I like the PHP schools. So their example fopen command is used to create a file, which is a little confusing, but it's create and open. So the example would be my file equals fopen. So let's copy that. So let's go up here and create a variable, file name equals, I'm going to call it estimates.txt. And we're going to open the file name. And I want to open it append, so that if I have to, I can append to that file. I want to add a new thing. So let's see, since I'm now creating the file if it doesn't exist, and as you can see in this directory, there is no file. I'll get that big so you guys can see it too. So there is no estimates.txt in here. So now let's run this. Sure, I'll send the post again. Oh, I got an error. I don't have permission to write in here. So let's take a look. So I'm going to look at the permissions of my ICS 215, and no, I do not have, only I have write permission, but I'm not the Apache web server. The Apache web server is not running as me, so I got to change the permission. Let's give it to everybody. So on Windows, you'd have to go into the security and make sure that everybody's got, your Apache web server has write permission. So, but in Unix or Mac, this is how you do it. So now, it's now open to anybody. So now let's reload the script. The error is gone. we can see there is an estimates.txt file. If we look, it's owned by daemon, which is the Apache web server is running as daemon. So the Apache web server is what created this file. That's why it's not owned by me. It's owned by the web server. So let's go back here. There it is. It's empty because we haven't done anything. So now let's figure out a way of reading the contents of the file. Or maybe let's make a way of append data file name, and estimate. So I want to create a function that is run when there's a post that will append to the file name the name of the person and their estimate. So I need to create a function down here, or actually anywhere. And it's called append data. It takes a file name, a name, and an estimate. So I'm going to make sure that I open up append the file. And so now I can actually delete this line because I've created it, but let's not delete that line. Okay, so now I open it as appending. So let's see what they say. And then I can do an fwrite. So let's copy that. But I don't want to do that. I want to copy. So what I want to write in my file, I want to put the name. And then fwrite my file. So I'm going to put in comma and a space, just so it's comma delimited. Fwrite my file. And I want to put their estimate. And now I want a new line. File. A new line. So each line in the file will have the name and the estimate. And then I need to close the file. So now let's go back and post in some information. I think it'll take me 22 minutes to do this. So it posted it. And if we look at estimates, I've appended my information to the file. So now let's say Sue can do it in 12 minutes. And we've updated the file. So now what do we need to do? We need to below the form show the estimates. So let's go here and say we want to load or print out the estimates. So let's go, I know the file command, but it's file to array. And that uses the file command. You give it the file name. So let's say create the estimates is equal to file name. And we can trim any new lines or skip empty lines in the file by adding these parameters. Now we can say var dump estimates. Let's see what we get. see it is an array, dumps the estimates. So now let's go back and loop through the array for each command. For each is for each array expression as value. So now we can go here. The array. That's as line. Don't need that anymore. So let's say echo line appended by break. Save it. Run it. So because I did that was the last one. Let's go see if I put an empty line in there. I did. Because a post sent those empties. So if I don't do it, so I'm getting the data. And Bob and 10. So I get the data. I'm still getting this line because the file's in there. If I wanted to, I could go and edit the file. So I am successfully saving the estimates and entering them, and I no longer need that. Well, let's put it in a paragraph. Do a get, and then Sally 35. And it is working. So I can submit this and it would be acceptable. Thank you for paying attention.